With kids back to school, we are rapidly headed towards fall. Fall is a natural reset season, partially because kids go back to school, but also because routines often shift as the weather starts to change. And many people use it as a time to clean, reflect, and adjust before we hit winter. And that makes it the perfect time to hit refresh on your money before the holidays hit. And that's what we're going to look at in this episode: 6 ADHD friendly steps to refresh your fund. For my regular listeners, welcome back. This is Shane G. For those of you just joining us because a friend shared this podcast with you, or you stumbled upon it in your favorite podcast directory, my name is Shane G. I am an ADHD money coach, and I am passionate about helping people with ADHD change their relationship with money from one of stress and anxiety to one of enablement and empowerment. So in this episode, we are going to talk, about why fall is the perfect time for a money reset. Now, I know that this may go against a lot of people's standard cycles of when they think about money. So let's first address why fall is the right time. So a lot of clients I deal with, and just even neurotypical people, really humans in general, I find that New Year's is the time that we start to think about money. Well, guess what? Moving from December 31st to January 1st really is just a date changeover, right? Yes, we pick it as a time to celebrate. That's fine and dandy. But there's a few reasons why it's actually a really bad time to try and change money patterns. The first reason is nothing is really happening between December 31st and January 1st, or really the whole month of December and January, that would merit a change to money. Whereas when we're transitioning from summer into fall, many of us, fall is the time that we are transitioning from cooling to heating our homes. And for most of us, that does have monetary, budgetary impacts. So, second reason fall is the perfect season. If you wait until January, you've lost all of your time to put in a well-prepared, well-planned budget and financial structure to have you ready for holiday spending. Whether that holiday spending is going to visit family for Thanksgiving, like I'll be doing, which incurs flight expenses, or it's buying gifts for your family. Often people wait until January, the New Year's, after Christmas, to say, look at all of the debt I racked up. If you start now, there's still time to save, time to manage and get preemptive about this potential debt instead of simply responding to it kind of post-mortem, right? And the third reason why I think fall is such a much better time than the New Year's. The New Year's is also when we're setting resolutions for often our health, our bodies, for keeping the house cleaner, for all these other things. Us ADHDers already have enough trouble instituting one new habit or pattern or system into our lives. We don't need 6 or 7 ones with the usual New Year's resolution craziness. So often fall is not a time we're doing a ton of that, making it another great time to do a financial reset. So hopefully now I've gotten you on board with the notion that fall's a great time to do it. And if fall isn't a great time for you, that's perfectly fine. This is still going to be a useful episode because you really can do these 6 steps at any point in time. But I think fall's a great time, and I invite all of you to do these steps with me because I'm going to talk about the steps in this episode in their totality. But I'm also going to be actually creating a dedicated video that tactically shows you how to do each step and putting it on my YouTube channel, ADHD-Dollars, again, single D between the ADHD and the start of dollars with a D, just one D there, not a double D. And I'm going to put a video for each of these steps where I'm actually showing you what I'm doing. I'll share some templates, I'll share some guidance. So feel free to join me on this. If you're not already following me on YouTube, go ahead and jump over there right now. Again, ADHD-Dollars is the channel name, and go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss those videos as they come out. Right now, most of that YouTube channel is just my podcast episodes, but I'm now in the process of putting more content there as I have a little bit more time coming out of summer where my schedule calms down just a little bit before I start fall activities. So let's talk about why we might need to do a money reset, financial reset. Most things that we do, whether it's our diet, whether it's our health, whether it's the cleanliness of our homes, at various points, we've been doing a certain set of habits, behaviors, using a certain set of systems. And every now and then, it's good to just stop and say, how's it going? What's working? What's not working? It's also good to do this when there's something that happens that could necessitate a change. And I just talked about why I think fall is a good time to do that with money, so I won't repeat myself there. I'm very good at that, by the way, ADHD thing. But fall is a good time for that. So it's another good time to look at the money and see what you can do. And it's also a great time to get ahead of a period of time that, for most of us, is when we tend to incur debt, or more debt than we usually do at other periods in our life. So let's get into these 6 steps. Step number 1 is to do a quick money check-in. So what we're doing here is just getting a comprehensive look at what is going on with our money. Like, where is our money at right now? So this is where you should go log in to all of your accounts. And so that means both your monetary accounts, which is your checking, your savings, your retirement accounts, any CDs that you may have, health savings accounts, anything that's holding money. So I call them your monetary accounts, and all of your debt accounts. This would be your mortgage, your credit card, your car loans, any of your firms, any of those kinds of items, and just take a look at where things are. This is not an activity that should invoke emotion, okay? It will. Let's just acknowledge that. But that's not the point of this. The point of this isn't, oh, I don't want to do that, Shane. That's going to make me feel like shit. No, that's not the point of this. You don't have to show it to anyone. This isn't any type of thing that becomes public. This is just you taking a quick look at, where am I at with my money, right? So I'm a big spreadsheet guy. I love the t-shirts they make that it says "Freak in the Sheets" and then there's an Excel logo. Anyway, nerd joke there. But I think it's a great way to do it. Nothing too complicated. Again, check out my YouTube channel. I will be dropping a template for this. But literally across the top, you can put all of your accounts holding funds. Across the bottom, you can just have a line that has all of your credit accounts. And then one thing you can do if you want is check and see, what does that put your kind of standing at? Now, this isn't quite your full net worth, because we're not like going into the value of your home, the value of your cars. I mean, if you want to, and you want to use this time to look at your net worth, the template I put out would enable you to do that. But this is really more about just saying, hey, where am I at, right? And some of you, number one, you already do. This isn't going to be something new. If you're one of those people that already is checking in monthly, or you have what I like to call regularly financial dates with yourself, where you check your money every week, every 2 weeks, you might already have number 1 done, right? You might just go in, do your regular update to encompass through the end of August. Then you've already got number 1 done. You don't have to do something special. You don't have to change your template or anything like that. If this isn't something you do regularly, no shame. That's not what this is about. We're not calling you out for anything. We're simply recognizing we haven't done that regularly. Now's, there's no time like the present. Let's just sit down and do it. This should not take you more than 5-10 minutes tops. So I just want to clarify. I know there's some of you out there already thinking, oh my goodness, Shane, I got to dig up this account, that account, yada, yada, yada. No, guys, for most of us, the fastest way to do this is get your phone out, go to the banking apps you have on your phone. If you already have a folder holding them, great. And just open each one. Open it up, list each account out, list the amount in the account, and you're good to go, right? And you'll kind of see where you're at. The one other thing I will check in with the money check-in, and this is not as data-driven, so this is quantitative versus qualitative, is what habits do you know you need to change financially, right? So if this is the first time you've done a money check-in since the start of the year, in years, that's your first habit, right? So just list out 2 or 3 habits. We are not going to attack them all at once, but just list them out. We're not necessarily going to attack them all here, but let's just be aware of them and use that to kind of close out step 1. So it's a comprehensive check-in of where our money is at. Again, this is a no shame activity. No one has to see it. This is really about giving you control of your money and putting you in a situation where your money is empowering your life, not controlling it. Now, the second step is to refresh your budgets, right? Now, let's call out the elephant in the room. A good number of us listening to this do not have budgets, right? ADHD people are not always the greatest with budgets, right? So that's perfectly fine. That's great. This isn't saying you need to get a budget. This isn't saying you need to make one. This is about taking whatever existing planning mechanism you have for your money and updating it for changes that we know are coming. So let's talk about what that means. A few changes that we know are coming. Again, part of the reason I think fall's such a great time for this money reset is number 1, temperatures are going to shift, right? So if you have a central forced hot air system that does heating and cooling, okay, that's fully electric, then this may not be as impactful. But even if you have that, it costs a lot more to heat than cool. Because if it's 80 degrees and we're bringing it down to 60 to keep you comfortable, I know 60 would be cold, but let's just keep the math simple for me today. That's a 20-degree drop, right? If it's 30 degrees at 32, it's at freezing, and we need to get it up to 60 something for you to be comfortable, that's 30 degrees it has to come up. And it can drop well below that in several parts of the US for extended-ish period of time, like days, weeks, during the winter. So generally, as we shift to heating, you need to have more money available and allocated to your HVAC, climate control, whatever language you want to use for it. So that's one shift we have. The second shift a lot of people have is around schedules. So if you have children, they're going back to school, right? So there's a shift in your schedule that could change your gas consumption. It most likely will change your food habits, the amount of groceries you have to get if the kids are now getting lunch at school. Maybe they're also getting breakfast at school. So yes, you might be giving them money to get that, but it changes your spending a bit. Also, in general, people tend to have better habits of eating at home during this period of time because they're not doing as many kind of random activities. Yes, your days may be busier, but they tend to be a little more structured. Some of you in kids' sports and all that might be saying you're absolutely crazy. It gets worse for us. That's perfectly fine. But again, that's still a change from what it was in summer, right? So whatever change happens there with kind of your meal planning and associated food spending, that's another change. So what this activity is saying is not, oh, I need to get this big fancy budget. Listen, if you're someone that's been wanting to do that, use this as a time to do it. That's a great time to start it and see what you can do. In the future, I do want to do some dedicated videos on ADHD-friendly budgeting, but full disclosure, this is an area I am still exploring what works best for me. And I really feel like I need to figure out my answer to it as an ADHDer that does very well at keeping to a budget for a few months, feels like I'm king of the budgeting world, and then just let it go. So once I figure that out a bit more, I will put out some content, some videos on that. So again, if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, now would be a great time to push that button so you don't miss all the other great content that I do have to come and I'm working on. It's kind of cool that this podcast helps encourage me to do the right things with my money, try out and figure out the right things so I can share it all with you and help all of you. So it's really great and really exciting in that regard. Okay, end tangent there, and getting back to refreshing your budget. So this step 2 is really just about whatever system you are using, being aware of the changes that are coming and being aware of them before they start to show up on your bank accounts and your credit cards. This is also the time to sit down and realistically set a number for Christmas. So if you don't budget at all, right, you really just kind of know, okay, my money comes in, I pay all the bills, I generally have $500 left over, $200 left over, negative $200 left over, whatever it may be. Just thinking through what that's going to look like as some of the spending changes, okay, and being aware of that. But if you don't budget at all, now's the time to set a number for Christmas. I think Christmas is going to cost $500. I think Christmas is going to cost $1,000. I think Christmas is going to cost $2,000. Whatever your number might be, right? Or maybe it's, I really can't afford Christmas this year. It has to cost $0. And, depending on who you are, where you are in your life, if you don't have kids and you're single, that may be a viable thing that you can pull off. But sit down, think about it, put a number to it, and then figure out how you're going to fund it. Again, this is not to make you feel shameful in any way. If you recognize that Christmas needs to cost you $850, it just does. But there is no way you're going to be able to save $850 by Christmas to have that in cash. You're only going to be able to save $400. Okay, that's fine. We can work with that information and we can make a plan to say, okay, let's get the $400 saved. And then let's understand that we're going to have to carry $400 in debt. We still can be smart about how we carry that debt. We can make sure we're putting it on the credit card from the credit union that has a 12% interest rate instead of my Discover or my Amex that has all the flashy rewards and perks that carries a 22, 25, 28% interest rate, right? So again, no shame here either way and where it puts you, but let's get you thinking up front a little bit about it. 3, plan some fun money. Fall is another season that I often work with some of my clients in my ADHD money coaching, and they mistakenly want to sit there and say, oh, I've been spending all this money in summer doing activities. Fall's here. I can zero out that line item. I'm not going to spend that money. Really? And again, you might be very different than me, but particularly this past summer, the summer of 2025, it's been hot, very hot. So I actually did less outdoor activities than usual, and I'm very much looking forward to making up for it in fall. Now, I also love fall. I'm a big Halloween person. I like going to the different haunted stuff, hay rides, cornfields, all of that jazz. So for me, that's not necessarily the case. But again, just plan some fun money. Don't assume that summer's over, it's all done, I'm going to zero it out, right? Now, again, if you also don't have a big plan for your money, now might be a time to say, okay, I'm going to put away $20 a paycheck to do something fun, right? I get paid bi-weekly. That's $40 a month. I'm going to put it into a separate account. I'm going to withdraw and put it in an envelope if it's a small enough number. I'm going to do something so I have a little bit of money there to do something fun. And let's just acknowledge that sometimes that money might have to go to impulsive spending that happened for some dopamine hits. And that's okay because we put some money away for it. Okay. So again, 3, it's all about what you need to do. Now, the thing about this is maybe you're going to say, okay, I need to bring my fund to 0 and put that money to my Christmas budget, because if I do, I can save it. You got to be realistic here. So I don't think 0 is a realistic number. So just let's keep that in mind. But this is all about, again, empowerment and enablement. So you've built in freedom and guilt-free spending. Number 4, let's take a look at your spending and find some savings. Now, you can do this however you want. But again, this is a great time to look at summer where spending tends to go up before a kind of fall lull and then a spike again as the holidays hit. So let's just look at our spending. Again, if you don't currently track your spending either against a budget or something else, I will be posting a video on how to quickly get a view of your spending using either a spreadsheet or using one of the web-based tools that can help you do this and categorize things. But just a quick look at your spending and let's identify some savings. So my best recommendation for identifying savings is start big, then go small. And by what I mean by that is a 1% savings on a category of spending that's $100 a month is $1, right? $1. 1% savings on something that you spend $1,000 a month on is $10. It is probably, or in many cases, will take a similar amount of time to save 1% on $100 as it will on $1,000, but you get a lot more out of the $1,000. So take your expenses, sort them in highest to lowest order, so descending based on the value, and start at the top, look at the top 3 categories, and see how you can save. In the videos I'm going to post in this fall financial reset playlist on my YouTube channel, I am going to pick some of the most common biggest expense categories for people and talk about some ways to save. I often find with clients that they're listed out and their number one expense is their mortgage. And they've always just skipped over it going, there's nothing I can do to save money there. Well, there probably is, right? Particularly if you're escrowing your insurance. Then if we can reduce your insurance, we can reduce your mortgage payment because part of that is collecting money to pay your insurance when it's due. Just a quick peek into some of the tips and tricks there. This is also a great way to get some amazing dopamine hits because this becomes almost like a scavenger hunt or a game for your ADHD brain if you structure it right. And then you get dopamine hits with each level of savings. And the really cool thing is, and I've seen this with a number of clients, we start by saying, okay, we're going to find 3 things we can do to save. Doesn't even have to be 3 categories, 3 things we can do. Sometimes that very first category, your biggest expense, we find 5 ways to save. But what I've seen happen to a lot of clients is they start doing this, it gives them dopamine hits, and we get them hooked on this instead of spending. Amazing thing, right? Moving on. Organize one money task. So number 5 is going back to what I said about like number 1 and number 2 around if you don't already have an idea of where your money is, if you don't have a budget. And when I asked you in number 1 to list out 3 things that you don't like that you're doing with your money, 9 times out of 10 with ADHDers, it's something that we don't have organized well, something we don't have great visibility into. So this is where you're going to take only one, and you're going to give it 15 to 30 minutes to make it better. So we don't want this to become a monotonous task. We don't want this to become an unlimited open-ended task. Otherwise, you will not do it. You absolutely won't. You're going to run for the hills away from it. But take one thing. Maybe it's, I put this huge pile of receipts in a completely unorganized bin somewhere. And instead, you say, okay, I'm going to create folders for each of the months, January through December. And then when I hit the next year, I'm going to start clearing them out because I don't need to keep them for more than a year. Maybe it's as simple as, when I go to do tax time, I don't have any of the documents I need. I'm going to create a folder that says 2025 tax documents. And as soon as I start getting, anytime I get a charity receipt that's tax deductible, I'm going to put it in the folder. As I start getting my W-2s, I'm going to put them in the folder. As I start getting any 1099s, from side gigs that I do or from my banks, my interest or dividends type stuff, I'm going to put it in this folder so I can just pick up the folder and do my taxes. It can be that simple. 15, 30 minutes, an hour if you'd like. Do one. If it felt good and you have the time, you can always do more. And then number 6, and this isn't so much about fall. This is just something that we don't do well enough at. So I really harp on it. Pay yourself first. So what pay yourself first means is that before you get your money from your employer, you need to be putting money into your retirement, right? So pay yourself first. If you are not already contributing to your retirement, in order to get the maximum match your company provides, you are leaving free money on the table. So if your company matches dollar for dollar the first 3% of your salary. If you are not contributing 3% of your salary to your savings, you are leaving free money that you're already earning with your labor and your work on the table. Let's figure out a path to getting you to 3%. Now, if you're already at 1%, don't say, I'm just going to go to 3. Say, okay, how do I get to 2%? What do I have to cut out in my spending to be able to cover it? A lot of people I work with, it's less than you would think. It's not as hard as you would think. Because when you break that down per pay, sometimes the amount of difference is $40, $30, right? But make sure you're doing that. If you're already fully funding your 401k, then maybe you sit there and say, okay, I can take an extra $20 and I can put it towards a debt. The way I really recommend you pay yourself first is you go to your employer, you set this up as a separate deposit into a separate account, and then you take the money and send it where it needs to go. If it's part of your retirement, you just set it up by updating your retirement withholdings at your employer. The plan B for this, if you mostly work for yourself or side hustle type things, is to set up an automated withdrawal whenever you tend to get your money. All right, that has been all 6 steps to a nice fall financial reset. Again, this reset is not about going in and transforming every little thing about your financial life. It's a quick check-in. It's tasks that we can do quickly. It's a little bit of a reset to get us ready for the next, as we leave one major spending season, summer, and we get ready for the next major spending season with the upcoming holidays of Thanksgiving and predominantly Christmas. But it's a great way to do this. Again, I will be posting a video where I screen share and show how each of these happens over the next few weeks onto my YouTube channel, ADHDollars. And if you sit down to do this financial reset and realize, wow, I need a little more help than I thought, please, please, please check out the link in the description to schedule a free 30-minute ADHD money reset session with me. During the reset, we will identify 2 to 3 things that could be improved with your money that would dramatically improve your relationship with money. And we will start to put in place an action plan for how you attack those in a way that doesn't overwhelm you and that you actually can stick with. And then we'll talk about ways that we can continue to work together so that I can be your coach, I can be your cheerleader, I can help keep you focused, I can even help talk you out of some of those impulsive spending decisions on a more ongoing basis to really help you start transforming your relationship with money. What would it feel like if you no longer felt that anxiety feeling in your stomach when you opened your bank account? That's what you need to think about here. I am going to be doing this money reset along with you. So I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do hope you all join in. Again, if you have a friend that could be helped by this, they may not even need ADHD if they just want to join in for this part of the challenge. Again, anything that's ADHD friendly can also work for neurotypical people, and sometimes even better because we just break it down into really simple tasks. Thank you so much for joining in. And remember, wherever your money situation is, that is not a judgment on you. And most importantly, it is not permanent. It is simply where you are today, and tomorrow is the best time to start bringing about a change. This is G with ADHD Dollars signing off. Until next time.